This past week, there was a very interesting thread on Facebook where someone asked, which character do you most identify with in the parable of the lost sheep? The answers were fascinating to read. And so I ask you, with which character do you most identify? For many people, there are three choices: the shepherd, the lost sheep, or one of the 99. And as you can imagine, people's answers were as diverse as the world we live in. Each person explained why they could relate to the character. For the most part, it's a classic study of Bowen's family systems theory. Family systems theory states that a family functions as a system wherein every member has a role, a specific role, and must follow certain rules. By reading the responses to the question, I could begin to imagine where each person fit into their family of origin. Because each of us, whether we like it or not, play a role, and our answers and our way of life are defined within that role. Some of the answers, some of the people could relate to the wandering sheep. Others didn't want to make waves, and so they were one of the 99. Still others were the shepherd, out searching for lost family members. But interestingly enough, one person went off the board. She added a fourth choice. She said she was the sheepdog. Never thought about having a sheepdog in the parable of the lost sheep. But this person responded that they were the one the shepherd asked to guard the other 99 while he went out to search for the one. The person was honored to be given that work because they were caring for the 99, knowing that ultimately the flock would be back together again and harmony would once more be restored. In seminary, I spent time studying family systems, both to be able to help me understand my own assumptions, my own role within the family, and how it affected my decision-making. But I also studied it because a church, a congregation, is really a family system. Each of us has a role that we assume within the church. Using the parable as an example, there are members of the church who are the 99. They come to worship, they participate in events, and they do what the rest of the congregation does. Then there are the shepherds who guide the sheep. They invite parishioners into deeper relationships while also looking for opportunities to feed parishioners spiritually. And then we have our lost sheep. People who struggle to feel like they're part of the family, not sure how they fit in with the rest. They may struggle with their beliefs They may question about God. They want to continue to explore other areas that look interesting. Each of these groups has a distinctively unique role to play in the life of the parish. None of the roles are negative. Because if we didn't have a lost sheep, how would the church ever evolve and see needs within the community and within the greater community? But of course, when Jesus told the parable, family systems theory wasn't around. Jesus wasn't telling the parable for us to consider which role we played, but rather that when we get lost, our shepherd will search for us. That's a heartwarming thought. Because who among us has not thought about whether we would ever be missed if we wandered off and got lost? How many times have we realized a parishioner hasn't been with us and we don't even know? Society, culture, loves to talk about the lost. The Home Alone series is a perfect example. Poor little Kevin McAllister gets stuck home while his family goes away. Not once, not twice, but 4 times. And while his family is struggling to figure out where he is and how to get him, he's out on adventures, just like the lost sheep. But ultimately, he's reunited with his family. But I think a better example, and one that is actually true, is portrayed in the movie Hacksaw Ridge. Private First Class Desmond Doss, himself a lost sheep in the Army during World War II. He was an objector. He would not carry a weapon for religious reasons. And yet he finds himself in a battle in Japan. He's wounded. And he continues to tell the medics to save someone else because they're worse than he is. Ultimately, the fighting gets so bad that they have to stop. And Private First Class Desmond Doss works tirelessly to save his fellow injured comrades from certain death. In the movie, you hear him praying, "Please God, just one more. Please God, just one more." Because Desmond understood what it meant to be lost and what it meant to be a shepherd. He worked to bring the flock back together. And as a result of his actions, many, many sheep were saved. For us, none of us want to go to the battlefield to learn that. For us, God is our example. God is the great shepherd, searching God's creation when they get lost. And today in the parable, Jesus is challenging us to follow God's example. We're called to emulate God's work, opening ourselves up to be channels of the divine nature in a broken world. A world broken by warfare, drugs, gangs, family system issues, mental health issues. In this world, we can be hopeful agents of healing. We can reunite people to the loving nature of God. We search for and show them they are not forgotten, but rather that they are God's creation and that God wants all people to be a part of God's flock. It might seem like a daunting challenge to search out the lost, but we've been given a role model. Jesus Christ searched for the lost. We can go into the world emboldened by his example. We've been equipped with the tools necessary for the search. We no longer need to worry about our character in the story, because through our baptism, we've been given our role. We are Christ bearers to the world. Our job is now prepared. Go out, bearing the light of Christ, searching for the lost, offering healing to the world, a world afflicted with brokenness and pain. Go, do, be Christ bearer. Amen.